Okay, so we're going to start out with a couple of videos, like I said, from the local news about Waverly, just so you all can get a visual of the place and what some things going on. Yeah, I know. I can talk. Oh, look at me go. All right. Here we go. So this is the first one. These are short videos, but it's fun.
Have you seen any ghosts yet?
Well, Rick, we haven't. I think we're still safe since the sun hasn't set yet. But go ahead and take a look for yourself at the old tuberculosis hospital. In its heyday, it said 63,000 people died here, and many believe their spirits have been left behind. It's those spirits the Ghost Hunters team will try to find tonight. The crew has been setting up for a 6-hour live broadcast over the last few days. The TV show will follow the paranormal investigative team known as TAPS all over the building. And because Waverly Hills is so big, 8 different crews will be set up inside, outside, and all over the grounds trying to capture ghosts on live TV. Now, if you want to watch those ghost hunters in action, you can from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. tonight on the Sci-Fi Channel. Reporting live from Waverly Hills, I'm Kate Cornell, WLKY News Channel 32.
All right. Oh, whoa, no. Stop. I don't know who you are. Go away. All right.
Maybe it's the gargoyles.
This building here opened on October 17th, 1926.
Or the buzzard perched atop this tower.
It was a tuberculosis hospital.
Whatever the reason, there's no hiding from that eerie, unexplainable feeling you get at the Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Waverly is haunted. If you stay here long enough, you'll probably find out for yourself.
And Tina Mattingly would know. She bought the property with her husband, she says, to save a piece of history. But once inside, she got more than she bargained for.
You know, we've seen things, we've heard things, we've smelt things, we've felt things.
We get a lot of pictures of apparitions in this room.
Tour guides have a story for nearly every inch of the 180,000 square foot facility. Doctors and nurses have been caught pacing the halls, while a little boy named Timmy is said to play with people brave enough to roll a ball.
You know, give it a few minutes, just sit and be patient, and very often that ball comes back to your group.
You know, people believe what they want to believe. You know, I wouldn't believe anything if I hadn't experienced anything for my own self either.
Mattingly believes in more than the afterlife. She also believes in the building's original purpose.
This building was instrumental in saving a lot of lives.
In a time when sunshine was thought to treat TB, patients soaked up to 13 hours of it daily here on the solarium. Meanwhile, staff silently and secretly disposed of the patients too sick to survive using the body chute.
You know, that many people died. You know, how would that make you feel? You'd probably think, I'm next.
But Mattingly says many people thrived here and eventually got to go home. Others, she says, stayed behind and still haunt these halls.
It's like it's not just a building. It's like it's alive.
Yeah, so we've got a lot to get through. I have one more video for you all to watch before we get started talking about all of the wonderful hauntings and why it might be haunted, So we've got one more video.
Waverly Hills Sanatorium used to house tuberculosis patients in the 1900s. The legend has it, now the building houses paranormal activity. Rose McBride speaks with some brave souls who spent the night at the sanatorium for the first overnight tour of the year.
Interesting sights.
It was weird, but it was good weird.
Sounds.
A lady speaking or a guy speaking, which is kind of odd.
And activity were on display for people touring the Waverly Hills Sanatorium Sunday morning.
Waverly was one of the places that we've always wanted to go the past several years.
Terrence Crow came with a group from Evansville, Indiana to do the 6-hour overnight experience. He wanted to test out some of his equipment to track the paranormal.
We had an EMF detector, it detects magnetic field and stuff, EVP recorder, and then our spirit box.
Crow says the spirit box was very active, letting the group communicate with the unknown.
We would ask a question and we would get a direct response.
Waverly Hills Historical Society President David Price estimates thousands of people have died in the building, which was a tuberculosis sanatorium until the 1960s.
It was the state-of-the-art facility in this area.
So could those patients be haunting the building? Well, people who lived there when it was a hospital have some ideas.
There's not many left, but the ones that we've talked to have said it was haunted then too.
The Historical Society is working to restore the building, using these tours to fundraise and introduce people to the rich history on display. through both the seen and unseen.
Something we always wanted to do. It's a small adventure.
In Louisville, Rose McBride, WHAS 11 News.
All right, guys. So, let's cancel that. And you know, let's see here. Let me get the. Well, I guess I can't do the thing I need to do until I do that. There we go. Okay, and I'll get some. We'll set the atmosphere. Get some spooky music happening. You know. All right, guys. Let me know if that's too loud or whatnot, and all that fun stuff. But let's get into it, shall we? Let me pull up my little cheat sheet here. All right. And we'll just be strip mining on the cove while I talk about this. All right, here we go. Get into it. So, Waverley Hills Sanatorium has brought a lot of rich history to Kentucky as a whole, right? Like, I mean, it's clearly, I mean, it's got a lot of stuff going on with it. And people like the historic community are trying to, like, you know, preserve the area and everything like that. So Waverly started out as a school. It was a one-room school building, and it was built originally just for the founder's daughter for, like, educational purposes, and of course other children would go to the school as well. Years later, it was bought and built up for the tuberculosis epidemic, right? You should talk in a spooky voice. Yes, a spooky voice. I don't even know what I'd do for a spooky voice. But it was built to house and attempt to treat tuberculosis patients. And therefore, there was a lot of, like, pain and suffering that went on while this place was running. Originally, the original building was, like, made to hold around 40 to 50 patients. However, it did end up having to hold a lot more than that, and it was clear, so they kept building onto it and building it up to the now Gothic style that is commonly seen, like in what you saw in the videos and stuff. But a little bit of background, sanatoriums were normally built in very secluded places up on hills, away from the regular community. I say regular in quotation marks, because you know what is really regular. But because of all the suffering and them having to be away from loved ones and everything like that, it could be that is the reason why there are so many, like, paranormal activity and hauntings happening there. But as I was saying, it was originally only built to like house like 40, 50 patients. It ended up holding 140 before they started remodeling it. Is this gonna be like a story time, and then once story is over, stream over? Yes, probably. That is probably how it's going to roll. That's all I have planned anyway. But they ended up holding over 140 patients in a place that's only supposed to hold like 50. And they built more. They built onto it. They needed a much larger hospital. Now, Waverly was considered, once it was like rebuilt and stuff like that, it was considered to be one of the best hospitals around. It was super well maintained and everything like that. And it was also like self-sustaining. It was a self-sustaining community, because they did have to be self-contained. They couldn't go visit their loved ones. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't have any access to the outside world, which is a good way to say it. But I mean, they had their own post office. They grew their own fruits and vegetables. They raised their own meat for slaughter. Obviously, they had doctors and nurses there. They also had all the other necessities they needed. And it even went down to they had their own area code, which is very interesting. I didn't even know that until I started researching. Hello, Dr. Deer. Welcome in. How are you doing today? You're entering on a new series I've started talking about haunted locations and why they might be haunted. And today we're talking about Waverley Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky, which is one of the most haunted hospitals in the world and definitely one of the most haunted places in the U.S., which is very, very fun. I need to scroll. Hello. Okay, nice. But one of the reasons why they had to be so self-sustaining and away from everyone is because, honestly, like COVID, tuberculosis was an airborne disease. And, so the idea of treating these patients was to keep them in very secluded areas with lots of sunshine, lots of fresh air, to maybe help them heal. And clearly this did not work well. Many people died, not only at Waverly but in general to tuberculosis. But because it was so contagious and serious and everything, all the doctors, nurses, patients, other employees had to say goodbye to their normal life, to their loved ones, before going to work at Waverly. When you were at Waverly, you didn't leave. You couldn't leave for risk of spreading the disease. However, with that being said, even though it risked spreading the disease and all the patients and nurses and doctors and people that worked up there couldn't leave, they still had visit days for loved ones to come visit, which doesn't make sense to me because, it's almost asking for more people to get sick, right? So clearly there was a lot of deep-rooted emotions in this place, which could lead to hauntings. Right. History lesson. Yes, a little bit. Oh, I thought I covered that up. Oh, my bad. All right. So, in 1926, the massive Gothic style sanatorium that you saw in the videos at the beginning of this stream was completed and could accommodate at least 400 plus patients at a time, which is pretty incredible. And like I said, it was super well equipped and super modern. Feels like school, but better. Make it spooky. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Waverly remained to be a TB hospital up until 1961, when an antibiotic that was successful in treating and curing TB basically rendered Waverly useless and obscene, basically causing it to not be needed anymore, and was abandoned for about a year. And then it became a assisted living facility. So you have more, elderly people dying. And many, many patients graced the halls of Waverly, and many, many, many of them did not make it out alive. I've read in one article saying that it was about 1 death per day, and as the disease started to continue to grow and infect more people, it was way more than that per day. So Waverly decided to add, or I don't know if it was added during the original renovation to accommodate more patients. I assume it probably was. But they added what was called a body chute, which you saw part of that in the video as well. The body chute was to transport dead bodies in a discreet way that current patients couldn't see it. And I guess that's a good way of keeping up morale and things like that. But it also later became known as the death tunnels. And basically there is a train or railroads right behind Waverly. And what would happen is that they would take the dead that died that day and would make their way in the dead of night up or through the tunnels to the railroad and put the bodies on the trains to be taken away. So, you've got a lot of dead people transported through those tunnels, and it's just not a good situation, my guys. But now time for what you're actually here for, which is some of the ghost stories that is associated with this place. Sounds really grim. It is. And not to mention, at Waverly, just Waverly alone, there was over 63,000 deaths. Which is, I don't know if you know, but a lot of deaths that happened. It certainly isn't great. But it is believed that because of all these strong emotions and obviously very painful emotions, you're stuck in these places in Waverly. And basically when you were sent to Waverly, it was almost like a death sentence. People went to Waverly to die a lot of the time. And like I said, a few people did make it out, but not many. So you've got basically this looming over, hey, I'm going to die here, basically. Sure, they did some things to help, cheer you up or whatever. You got, your tons of sunlight out on the porches, even during the winter in the snow. And you just, you laid there. You did have the occasional surgery to remove ribs and stuff to help. The thought was to expand your lungs, because TB really affected your lungs. But and for the kids, they had the kids They had a place where the kids could play. However, it's not a safe place. They had let the kids play on the roof. They had a little like set that the kids could play on the roof. Hello, info. Welcome in. What's poppin'? How you doing today? We're just telling ghost stories. Specifically, we're talking about Waverley Hills Sanatorium. Hello, Moon. Welcome in. I'm telling ghost stories. Okay. So, one of the main reasons I mention the kids playing on the roof deals with one of the main hauntings at Waverley. And of course, there's several main hauntings, you know, because clearly this is a place that has a lot of energy. And there is even though you were at Waverley, you know, and it was kind of like a descendance, you did have that one like ounce of hope, right? However, there was one half of the hospital, I think it was the half, there was at least a section of the hospital that was used for patients that were going to die. Like, specifically, there's no hope for you, you're going to die. And basically whenever you were moved to these rooms, you knew it was over. So you've got that kind of energy. You've got the energy of the nurses, you know, and the doctors. Why the spooky shroom? Because I wanted to do it. And I've been thinking about doing like a series type thing. And I like the spooky shit. So here we are. Where was I? But you've got the emotions of the nurses who's just watching these people die and they can't do anything about it. Same goes for the doctors, you know. It's a very hopeless situation, or what felt like a very hopeless situation. But now on to some of the main hauntings that we see in Waverley. So, starting off, why I mentioned the kids being allowed to play on the roof is because of Timmy. Now, Timmy is a boy, a small boy, who it was thought that he had ended up falling off the roof of the building because the kids were allowed to play up there. And Timmy's very, very active. He loves to play with balls, and you can see a lot of paranormal investigators getting him to play with the balls on the 3rd floor. And he likes the energy that people bring, and it's almost like people are there to see him, you know, so he really enjoys the attention. And, you know, even some of the like guards, security guards and stuff will play with the ball. You know, little like toy balls, their info. But he was a kid when he died, and he's a kid in the afterlife. He, you know, enjoys playing because, you know, it kind of takes him away from some of the things and gives him some entertainment. And he really likes to give them a show. Do you know how old? I do not know how old. I just know he was young, and he's often seen like with a leather ball. When he shows himself, that is. But if you bring a ball with you, or honestly, they leave balls there for him to play with, or for you to play with him. Yeah. But that's one of the a really big entity in this hospital. Another one, okay, so both of these next two have to deal with room 502, which is supposedly the most haunted room in the hospital. And they're both nurses. So the first nurse was found in the room, and she was found dead, which this room was also the head nurse's room, but she was found dead because she had allegedly committed unalive, and because apparently she had gotten pregnant.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Oh, thank you, their info for that. But she was 29 years old. She was pregnant. And she was unmarried, which is a big no-no during these times, and especially in a place where you are, you know, you're working, you're dealing with the dead, and everything like that. So I assume she felt lots of shame, and therefore committed unalive. However, I have seen some more recent things, suspecting that mayhaps it wasn't her, and that maybe she was murdered. By a suspected doctor that might have gotten her pregnant. However, this is just speculation and nothing is confirmed or anything. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Okay, there we go. Anyway. But it was suspected that she hung herself from an exposed pipe and things, but you know. And now another nurse who was also living in room 502 later on, after obviously the first death, was thought to have also committed unalive and jumped off the top of the building. However, again, it's also thought that she might have been pushed. Again, all you know, not confirmed or anything like that, but it's very interesting. And of course, I'm sure if you're in a situation surrounded, like, I mean, these nurses are surrounded by death and things seem, you know, hopeless in a sense, then I guess they might have not seen a way out. But now I'm about to get into what you all are really here for. All right, guys. These stories that I'm about to tell are from a close friend of mine, a best friend even. And I don't know if he's still in chat or not, but he was here. These are first-hand accounts. All right, guys. Fair enough, info. Fair enough. So, this all really starts with his mom and dad. They both worked as security and they did the tour guides for this place. For Waverley Hills, right? So naturally they're gonna see some shit. And So I'll start out with the first one, which apparently is the really big one, guys. This is like the craziest one. And I've heard this story be told personally. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't, get the story straight from the source. Both of them have since passed on, but Riri was here to tell me. And here we go. So, apparently, while his mom and dad were giving this tour, they met this super cool chick, just like in this tie-dyed shirt, and she was super awesome. Just kind of hung out and they were vibing. It was a great time, joking around, all that fun stuff, right? And so they continued giving this tour, whatever, and they, go through all the places and everything like that. And as they're exiting, they realize that somehow that they have lost this one chick, right? And they were exiting the building, and the tours with them and everything like that. And that's when they look up and they see this, they see this chick, and she's on top of the building, on the roof, right? Except she's not in the tie-dyed shirt anymore. She's in a 1920s nurse outfit. And then apparently she jumps and just disappears. So that's one of the craziest ones. And I mean, personally looking into all the stories and everything like that, it's the craziest one that I can find. Which is just insane. And then, yeah, it's kind of crazy. I gotta go make some more shit before I continue strip mining. But, straight up just disappears. Which is the craziest shit to me. And they were talking with her. She was in the group, they were discussing things and talking with her. Now, like I said, I mentioned Timmy, playing with the balls on the 3rd floor. Apparently they would play with Timmy all the time, just keep him company. And I think it's really what's the word I'm looking for? Calming for Timmy to have someone there often to play with him, and so he's not forgotten. But they would play with him all the time. All right, see you, info. And now this one's a bit whack, a bit crazy, a bit spooky, if you will. But I don't have any wood. Dang. Yeah, I'm sure it was terrifying for his parents to witness that, thinking that this was, a person. It's checks out, right? But it's just, crazy shit happens, man. And honestly, I'm just here for the ride. But oh, maybe if I can get hello. This one's pretty whack. So at this point in time, while his mom didn't know that she was pregnant with him. All right, I have sticks. Why did I come up here? I thought I didn't have sticks. Oh, that's a creeper. Respectfully, no. Respectfully, no. I don't have food, I just realized. Oh, that's fun. No zombie flesh. Sad times, chat. But his mom didn't know that she was pregnant with him, alright? And remember that room I mentioned, 502, where the nurse that was pregnant, was found dead and all that? Well, Ruby, his mom goes in and into that room, not really paying attention or anything. And it's really a room you shouldn't go in if you're pregnant. And all of a sudden, she can't walk. She can't move. I'm sure crazy shit was running through her mind as she tried to, like, get out. And then all of a sudden, she started just projectile vomiting, which is crazy. Like, imagine, you're obviously working in these places and like, whack shit happens, man. And what's happened in this room. And of course, you don't know that you're pregnant, but you're like, whoa, why is this happening to me type thing, I'm sure there was a lot of confusion there. But clearly my friend made it out all right. and it was all good. But it's just some spooky shit, man. Another thing that he told me was there's this neighborhood, a cul-de-sac, where you can go, and during the fall it looks up. In the fall you can look up and just see Waverly, right? You can just see it in all its glory and everything like that. Well, apparently he likes to go there when it's 3 a.m. sometimes. I don't understand it, guys. I don't get it, chat. But apparently he likes to go visit it and be kind of freaked out a little bit. But this one time he went with a couple of friends and they were there looking up at it, and then all of a sudden the car started getting extremely foggy, guys. And so they got like really freaked about it naturally, and they're just like, okay, we'll just go home. Drive, go home, get it out of the system, whatever. I could never. Valid. I also could never, but I have. So I think I've been there once with him. Anyway, it got super foggy. Oh, the music got super intense. Anyway, and they thought it was all good. However, when they got home, they were going around the car or whatever, and it just so happened that a child's handprint was on the back windshield of his car, which is fucking insane. And I just can't believe that, like, it's real, like, that happened. Like, it's kind of insane. Listen, I just want some food, but not wheat. All right. Okay. I'd start sobbing. Honestly, valid. I would too. But personally, I think that... Oh no, I hate to hear that, Moon. But... let's see here, where was I? Oh, if I had to guess why this place was haunted, I would say it's because of the mass amounts of pain and suffering mixed with just the feeling of hopelessness and just the overall dread of knowing that you're probably going to die. And then that coupled with these unfortunate events where people ended up dying and stuff like that, like dying in like a either murdered or committed unalive type of way. It just would not be it. And truly, I cannot get over the story about the tie-dyed shirt girl. Now, there is something else about Waverly that I know for a fact that I have heard about. I know I have. But I can't find the information about it anywhere. But I know I've heard about it. And it's that something else might be living at Waverly. Definitely not something human. And I really wish I could find where I heard it and stuff like that, but apparently there is this thing that, like, you just hear like scratching down the walls and stuff, and it's coming to get you essentially. Like I said, though, I can't find any information about it. I wish I could. I dug and dug and dug, and I couldn't find anything. And that makes me very sad because I find it very, very interesting. I think that's all I've got, guys. And again, you know, energies are really big in hauntings. And clearly this place has a lot of energy. A lot of bad energy, surrounded by the circumstance of an epidemic, a pandemic even, if you will, known as tuberculosis, and it is something to not be taken lightly. So guys, if you ever decide you want to visit Waverly, make sure you take your camera, because I'm sure it'll be a great time, and you want to get that evidence, I'm sure.